We're here at Doors Open, one of the events in Toronto where Torontonians are able to enter buildings and see places that they haven't ever seen before. And here is the Islamic Information Center. They're providing tours to the public of the mosque. And with me is Brother Shabir Ali. Brother Shabir, thank you for participating.
Oh, my pleasure.
And he'll be giving us a virtual tour of the mosque. So come on in with us.
Okay, let's go. Well, this is the mosque, and entering a mosque, we're first going to take our shoes off, right, Safia?
Yeah, so why do we take off our shoes when we enter the mosque?
Okay, as we get into the mosque, we'll see that Muslims pray on the floor generally. So they try to keep the carpets clean. Obviously, the shoes have gone everywhere. We'd like to just place the shoes on the shelves provided and enter the mosque bare feet or with socks.
All right, we'll do that.
Okay, let's do that. So, shoes nicely placed on the shelf here, and we come in.
So I guess the first big thing that one would see upon entering the center is the prayer hall.
That's right, that's right. Don't ignore the fact that there is a little bookshop.
Okay.
Many masjids or mosques do have a little bookshop where they will sell books of a religious nature, explaining some of the basic precepts and beliefs and practices of the Islamic faith.
Okay.
So we're
tell me about the prayer hall then.
Yes, we are entering the prayer hall here now. This happens to be a fairly large prayer hall. It is not made for purpose. It is a modified building. This building used to be a bicycle shop at one time, and then it was converted to a grocery store, and then eventually we bought it and made it a mosque with some slight modifications.
So what are the modifications that you made to make it suit the congregation?
What do you think is one of the most obvious things?
Well, I guess the carpets in particular rows.
Okay, sure. And the other obvious thing is that there is no furniture.
Yes.
Right?
So if you go into a church or something like this, you would see pews and chairs for people to sit in. But it seems like in the mosque, people just bow down and prostrate on the floor.
Exactly, exactly. And that's why there's no furniture, because we're going to sit on the floor. The idea being that we are human beings, we are humble before God, the creator of all things. He's transcendent. So God is high, we place ourselves low before God.
So what are some of the actions that an individual would do whilst praying?
Oh, while praying, we will be standing some of the time. Some of the time we will be bowing. Some of the times we'll be going all the way down over on the floor. That last posture is called prostration. And then some of the times we will just be sitting down in a more relaxed position.
So I guess that's the reason for the carpets then.
Absolutely. Now you notice the lines here.
Yes.
Usually when people come in, when it's time for the regular and formal prayer, they will stand often with their heels just ahead of the line, so that everyone standing in that way will be lined up in neatly formed rows.
So they'd be side by side then.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Now these lines conceptually are concentric lines. If we think of the world as a globe and we connect these lines all the way around the globe, we will find that other Muslims are praying on the same line somewhere else in some part of the world. And of course they go around the world. Well, what's at the center of all of these lines? At the center of all of these lines, conceptually, there is the Kaaba, which is the first mosque that was established for monotheistic worship according to the Islamic tradition.
So now we don't have the Kaaba here. Does this represent the direction of the Kaaba? How does that work?
Okay, so where is the Kaaba then? Well, the Kaaba is located in Mecca. It is a mosque, a simple cubicle structure. The mosque has become too small for the congregations that gather there nowadays. So instead of praying in the mosque, people actually pray around it. A larger mosque has been constructed around it and people pray there. So when Muslims go to pray, they all turn towards that mosque as the center point of their religious worship and
I guess
devotion.
it's thought of as the house of God, right?
Yes, that's right. Doesn't mean that God lives there.
Yes.
It means, well, of course, God is transcendent, but it means that this house belongs to God, or this is where we go to worship God. And mosques all over the world similarly are places where we go to worship God, and so they're called houses of God. Now, when we line up in these concentric lines, we're all facing towards that direction of Mecca. So in a way, it's like the worshippers are there. They branch out into larger and larger concentric circles until they get to our circle right here. Okay, so we face in that direction.
Okay. And why is there this thing?
This here is called the mihrab, a mihrab, but one doesn't have to remember what it's called. It's just a simple device. It has a sort of concaveness about it. And in ancient times, it may have served as a way of reflecting the voice of the leader in prayer. See, everybody's facing that same direction. The leader in prayer would stand right here, and he would be reciting verses from the Quran. And
so it would be a means of amplifying the voice for the congregation.
Exactly. The voice just simply bounces back and spreads out into the congregation.
So now that we have microphones, I guess it doesn't serve the same purpose.
No, but it has become a traditional feature in mosques. When Muslims come into a building and they see that, they know that this is the direction of prayer. So if one were to ask, is Mecca that way or that way, like seeing this, one knows right away it is that way. Now, when non-Muslims come in and they have mosque tours, one of the things that strikes them unique is that we do not have any images for God here.
Yes.
Some do expect to find some images, and we have to explain that we believe in the transcendent God, the universal creator, and God is not like anything that we can see or even imagine. We know from the Ten Commandments in the Bible that God is not like anything that walks on the earth or swims in the ocean or flies in the sky. So the Quran says there is nothing like God. Whatever we can imagine then is not God. And so we do not try to picture him in any way. We just know of his good attributes. God is great, he is transcendent, he is the creator of all, he is loving, forgiving, kind, and so on.
Tell me about the special places that demarcate the Imam's place in the mosque.
Okay, so one place is where he stands for the prayer.
Okay.
You notice that a special rug has been placed here, but it doesn't have to be a special rug. In fact, some imams don't even like it because conceptually the imam is just a servant of the people, and most imams do not like to receive special privileges. So why should I, as an imam, have a special mat? I should stand on the same sort of mat as everybody else. But the congregation's feeling is like this: we want our imam to be special, we want him to have a special place, and so they put a mat like that, and the imam just simply gets accustomed to just using it. He just submits. Another position that is relevant to the imam is this here, what is called a mimbar. And that simply means it's a place where the imam stands. It's a pulpit, you might say, a lectern almost. So the imam on a Friday would stand here to deliver a sermon, and that's simply so that he's raised in height and could be seen and heard more easily by everyone. And he could also make eye contact with his congregation. So he would stand for a while, he would speak, and then usually he sits for a moment of rest in between two parts of the sermon. He gets up and then he continues his sermon. The whole sermon may last for about 20 minutes or about half an hour in some mosques.
In Muslim majority countries, they have huge mimbars, which are many stairs long, and the imam goes all the way up there. Is there a reason for that?
Probably is because the congregations there are so large, the mosques are so huge, that you need to elevate the imam a little bit more for him to be effective in delivering his message to the crowd. Generally, the imam gets on the mimbar and he addresses the people by saying, peace and the mercy and blessings of God be upon all of you. He would say it in Arabic, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Then he would sit down, and the call for prayer would be uttered, and following that he would get up and deliver his sermon. But in the midst of delivering the sermon, he would, as traditionally is done, he would sit down and pause, rest for a moment, recollect his thoughts, maybe offer a brief prayer to God, and then again stand up and deliver the remainder of his sermon.
So, Brother Shabir, we're in the ablutions room, as you might call it, and what is going on here?
This is where we wash our hands, wash our hands, wash our hands. Well, the brother here is making wudu, as we say in Arabic. He's making ablutions. He's getting ready for prayer by cleansing himself. And while he's washing the limbs of his body, washing his hands, his face, and his feet, he is symbolically cleansing his soul of all evils, of all sin, of all crude desires, and he's getting his mind ready to communicate with God.
So what does the ablution involve? What body parts do you wash?
We wash our hands all the way up to the wrists, up to the elbows. We wash our faces and our feet, and we just pass the moist fingers over the head.
So are men and women both obligated to do this before prayer?
Yes.
So are the requirements for wudu or the reasons for making wudu the same for men and for women?
Well, normally we differentiate between the state of purity and being out of the state of purity. So once one has made the wudu, one is in the state of purity. One goes out of the state of purity, for example, as the Quran mentions, when one goes to the bathroom. One uses the toilet, one comes out, then one makes wudu to get ready for the prayer.
All right.